everybody. Thank you so much for tuning into another episode of Self-Taught. I'm your host, Becky Onyango, and I'm very happy that you're here today. So without further ado, we'll get right into the topic of the day. Today, we're going to look at the first time scenario as an international student in Germany. So now you've gone through the entire hurdle of getting the admission in your dream German university. And you've finally also gotten the German student visa. And now pretty much the next step is for you to show up and come to Germany. So what are some of the things that you need to know and keep in mind in order just to make your transition into the country as smooth and efficient as possible? The first thing would be look into affordable flight tickets. So depending on when you intend to fly, depending on when your semester is supposed to start, of course, the earlier you book the flight tickets in advance, the cheaper it would be. There's so many comparison websites online where you can look at different pricing from different airlines. And then from there, you can pretty much choose one that is much more suitable for you. I personally use Google Flights because it's very easy to navigate on the page and pretty much pick out the cheapest flight ticket option. And then from there, it can automatically direct you to the airline website and you can book through. Otherwise, you can just go through the classical route of booking through a travel agency. So you can go to the nearest travel agency where you, in your local home country. Or otherwise you can just go directly to the airline office, depending on which airline that you prefer. Then the next step would be to look into the currency exchange of your local currency. And the reason being, of course, as you all know, in Germany, the currency used is in euros, so you cannot use your home country currency to do any transactions while you're in Germany. So whenever you're traveling, you definitely do need some money in the pocket. Yeah. As much as you might have a blocked account or you've received scholarship, but during the transit period when you're traveling from back at home to Germany, when you're in the airport, you do need money on you. So make sure that you do the currency exchange back at home. It would probably be like a better deal in terms of the rates, as compared to if you do it maybe say in Germany, it might be a bit, Germans are generally an also expensive country. So the rates might not be so suitable, or rather might not be a good deal. Otherwise, also depending on which country you come from, depends if you can get your currency or not in Germany. So for example, if you're coming from the US, it might be easier for you to get the US dollars exchange. But if you're coming from like Kenya, it might not be so easy to get Kenya shillings. So it's better to just do the exchange while you're back at home. Yeah, this would just make your, your travel experience a bit better when you have money on you. Then the third step that you should look into is accommodation upon arrival. Now, believe it or not, getting accommodation at the moment in Germany is even more difficult than getting a visa or even getting the German admission into the university. This situation has been there like for quite some time. And, the only reason why it's so difficult is because the demand is higher than the supply in this case. So there are so many people looking for apartments here and there, but there are not so many apartments to accommodate the demand. So looking for accommodation can be a bit tricky. So it's best to start looking for accommodation while you're still in your home country. Now, another way that you can look into accommodation when you're still in your home country, you can look at sites like WG Gesucht, Immobilien Scout, Facebook Market. If you're not able to get accommodation before you get here, you can also try to talk to the university and see if they can help you. Normally, some universities do offer student accommodation, though for the public universities, at times they might be fully booked and the waiting period could be up to 6 months. So you need to get an alternative when you're still waiting. Yeah. Then another option would be just the classical way of booking a hotel or Airbnb. But of course, this would be just for a temporary stay, because if it's in the long term, of course, it would be more expensive. Then another way also, just go the classical way of looking for somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody. And personally, this is how I found accommodation the first time I arrived. Just try to see if you can, contact one of your relatives who probably is in Germany or maybe in another country who might know somebody in Germany like that. And upon arrival, at least you have somebody who can pick you up. That might be a bit easier, and they can also give you information on how to go about it. Then the fourth step that you should keep in mind is ensure you do have some money on you for the local transportation. This is something very critical in terms of, whenever you're using any public transportation means in Germany, and one of the controllers who check if you have ticket or not will find you without a ticket, that might not be such a good record for you, because those are some of the things that would add up to decreasing your chances of eventually attaining a permanent residence in Germany. That is if you intend to stay in the long run. So make sure upon arrival, you do have money on you to pay for the local transportation like the bus or train. And also I assume that, the first time when you're arriving, you have a lot of luggage on you. So of course you would take a taxi in this case, and a taxi, maybe depending on where you're going, could cost up to 50 euro. It depends with the distance and how much time. Yeah, so best to have money on you upon arrival. Yeah. Fifth step upon arrival in Germany is, the first thing definitely you should do is report to the admission office of the university. I mean, the main reason why you're even coming to Germany is because you're going to the university. So you need to report to them that you've arrived safely. You need to also make sure that you go to their office. Now, one thing that you should keep in mind, you should constantly be in touch with the admission office from the time when they do approve your admission. Keep them updated on your situation in terms of the visa application process, how long the waiting period is, because once the enrollment starts for the new semester and they've not been able to hear from you, they'll automatically cancel your admission if they don't know if you're coming or not. So very important to keep in touch with them. Then upon arrival in Germany, first thing, go to the admission office, report, and produce all your original documents like your school certificates, your passport, and all that. And then from there, they'll be able to officially enroll you as a student in the university. They'll provide documents such as your student ID, semester tickets, the university rules and regulation. You might also need to sign a student contract with them, and generally, and also a matriculation certificate to show that you're a student in their university. So very important to get all this documentation from them, and just generally go through the, process of introduction. Some schools do provide these introduction processes on what to expect as a student. So very important to go to the admission office and get all the information on the kind of programs that they've aligned for you as an international student, just to make your transition process into the country easier. Then the sixth step would be, you need to register your house address in the city registration office. This is known as Wohnung Anmeldung in German. Now, this is a very critical step, because without the Anmeldung, really you cannot get any sort of documentation done, and none of the processes would be able to move forward in terms of, accessing a bank account, health insurance. So the first thing that should be at top of your priority list is registering your house address. And usually you need to book an appointment at the city registration office. This can be done online, so you just need to go and check on their website. And also, depending on which city that you will be studying in big cities like Berlin, it takes time before you can get an appointment. It really does take time. So if possible, even start looking for the appointments while you're still back in your home country. Yeah, at times it can take up to 6 months. But if you're in a smaller city, you might even it might be a walk-in process, like just walk into the office and get an appointment and get the registration done. So best to also know what kind of city and how fast it is to get the appointment. And once you get the Anmeldung done, then you can pretty much move to the next steps of accessing the bank and health insurance and registering for other things like internet as well. Some of the documents that you would need for the house registration would be like your passport, the rental contract agreement with your landlord on where you've taken up accommodation. And also there's some sort of certification that you need from the landlord stating that they are allowing you to be registered in that address. So you do need the certification. And then also you will need your residence permit details, to show that you're legally allowed to reside in Germany. Then another thing, Germany is generally a country whereby you do receive a lot of letters. It's kind of bureaucratic because everything is sent through mail. So make sure that your name is on the mailbox or at the door of to the entrance of your apartment or where you're taking up accommodation. So very important, because all official documents that come from the German government in regards to your registration, insurance, banking details, they'll all be sent to your house. And of course you need the name, especially your surname, on the letterbox. Then another important point, upon arrival in Germany, you need to make an appointment at the immigration office. So this is known as the Ausländerbehörde in German. Usually when you're given the student visa back in your home country, it would be valid for 3 months. So upon arrival, you're given 3 months to go and extend your residence permit for, as long as the course duration. So if you're doing a master's degree for 2 years, the residence permit will be valid for 2 years. If it's for a bachelor's, maybe say for 4 years, it will be valid for 4 years. So make sure that you make the appointment as soon as possible, as soon as you enter the country. Reason being is, if the visa expires, the 3-month visa expires, then you'll be in Germany illegally. So you have to be very fast in this, in trying to make sure that you make the appointment and go in for the extension of your visa, of your residence permit. Some of the documents that you need for the residence permit are like your passport, the visa, your student contract or matriculation papers, and also your Anmeldung, house registration. But also, of course, this depends on if you've been able to get an appointment or not. Either way, just make it a priority to do it, regardless whether you've gotten the Anmeldung or not. Then the next steps would be accessing a bank account, your official bank account in Germany, as well as opening a public health insurance. You can either opt for public or private. Now, with the bank account, you would need, if let's say you had a blocked account that you already transferred money while you're still in your home country. Now, remember, you've already done the house registration at the city registration office. You need that certification to show that you've done the registration of your official house address. You need that as one of the documents to go open a bank account. Then, of course, you need like your passport details, your ID, the residence permit. And then if you have a blocked account, with this, you're able to unblock the account so that you can start accessing your money every month. Yeah. So another point back to the fact that you do need to carry money from back at home, because during that period, you need to eat, you need to survive. So you need to have, organized yourself well before all the documentation, everything is set up properly. Then once you've been able to set up your bank account, then the bank normally would send you the debit card and the password details via mail. So it's also important to have your name on the mailbox. Then the next thing would be your public health insurance or private health insurance. So in Germany, it's illegal not to have health insurance, so it's mandatory. So you need to go to the health insurance office, and you need to go with your house address registration details. You also need to go with your bank account details, and then you need to fill out a form with them. And also there's another form that is known as SEPA mandate, which means you give the insurance company authority to deduct the insurance premium monthly from your account automatically. So you can opt to sign for the SEPA, where they take the amount of premium automatically, or you can decide to be transferring the money yourself. Yeah, so it just depends with what the insurance provider agrees, what options they give you. Then aside from, following up on the paperwork of setting yourself up in Germany, of course, when you're moving around your day-to-day activities, Germany is predominantly a German-speaking country, yeah? So assuming that you're not so fluent in the language, you might need some applications downloaded in your phone. For example, Google Translate, because from the streets to the train to the buses, everything is written in German. So you need to translate, and you can't keep on asking everyone, what does this mean? What does that mean? Right? So you need to be self-reliant and have Google Translate app on your phone. Another app that you probably need on your phone is Google Maps to help navigate around the city. Yeah, because I remember in my case, I was very confused the first time I came. All the streets kind of looked the same. It was just so much going on. I could not get my way around. I mean, also Germans themselves, they need to use a map in order to check the connections to where they're going. So you definitely do need some sort of map in your phone. So Google Maps is definitely one that I would say you could go for. Then another thing, obviously, you need to start looking into phone calls, making phone calls, being connected to the internet, because of course, when you're trying to get your connection outside, when you're trying to look at how you can move around, you need internet on your phone. So best to also see how you can get a SIM card, get internet on your phone, and also know where your local supermarkets are, where you can get food. You need to survive on food, right? Food is very important. Last but not least, I would say one of the most important things to start doing is start networking from the get-go. Yeah? Upon arrival in the airport, start making friends left, right, center, but make friends who add value in your life, okay? Especially during your stay in Germany as a student. Find friends who have information on, student-related issues, especially if you're an international student. Find friends who have information on some of the travel opportunities while you're in Europe. Remember, you have a Schengen visa, so you can pretty much travel to so many EU countries. Find friends who, can help you with your group work presentations. Find friends who are well connected in the job market, because this will go a long way during your stay as a student. And eventually, if you plan to stay in Germany in the long run, the network that you've created will be very useful in you eventually, building your life here in this country. Then another important thing is enroll as soon as possible in a German class. The earlier you learn German, the better and the easier it would be for you living in Germany. Yeah, so just learn the language from the get-go. It might not be easy, but have a positive mind and you'll definitely be able to make it through as an international student in Germany. So guys, thank you so much for tuning in. That is pretty much it for today. Feel free to write me whenever you have any questions, and also feel free to comment down below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and also comment down below. Thank you so much. Take care. Up until next time. Goodbye.